Bless you.
Thank you. Being recorded.
All right, well, it is 7:12 and we have a quorum, so we'll open tonight's meeting of the Oakland Mills Community Association Village Board. So good evening, everyone. I'm in orange, Phil's in green. We clash a little bit.
Green.
Yeah, you're you fit well with the room.
Yeah. This is my fault.
Yeah. All right. It's been one of those months. All right, so let's get started. So two of the usual administrative things. One is to approve the minutes from our August 22nd board meeting. Is there a motion to approve? I have a motion from Rebecca. I'll take a second from Shar. Any discussion of those? All in favor of approving? 400. Okay, next is approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Bill, is there a second? Shar? Any discussion of tonight's agenda? All in favor? 400. All right, we're underway. Next up, we have resident remarks. Any residents wishing to make remarks can, well, there's no one in the audience here, so anyone online, if you use the hand raise feature in Zoom, I'll call you in the order you raise your hand and you'll get up to 3 minutes. Going once, going twice. Look at that, we're making up time already. All right, I'm gonna send it over to Brigida for the CY fiscal 25 budget OMCA requests.
Oh, so everybody should have a copy that I had put out last time at the meeting and we had talked about, and then you had added some updates. So this is with all of the updates that had been added or changed. So I think that the next step would be, once we approve these, then we would send them on to CA during their budget cycle.
Bless you again.
Thank you.
Now you're allergic to the CA budget. Bless you again. And I'm sorry, I meant to send some questions and comments back, but
Oh,
I was
okay.
working on the school thing. So I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot now. For the fiscal 24 cash reserves. I mean, yes, 24 is the final year of the current management contract, but what's the latest on potentially extending that a year? Like, do we need to state that, or is it really relevant to what we're asking for?
To be honest, I was hoping to get more information on that at the village managers meeting tomorrow, which I will not be at, so I will follow up with that. And then I'll determine whether or not, it's appropriate to have it in there. So.
Okay. All right.
Brigida, do all the village managers vote on that request that you have?
On this CA budget request?
No, on wanting to extend, what did you call it, Jonathan? The extension of the
management
contract.
Yeah.
No, we haven't taken any formal vote or anything. I'm guessing it will be a topic of discussion when Dennis is at the meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Because we typically would start negotiating for the next contract in September. So.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And just grammatical, the last line of that, the cash reserves, it says due the nature of the projects.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and one other thing in there, I think it should say OMCA requests that CA continue to reinvest cash reserves in excess of the 20%. Right, we get to keep 20%. It's everything above that we want them to reinvest, right?
No, I feel like it is that the cash reserves, that was what was the agreement where they would use that for the environmental sustainability projects. That was my understanding.
I thought we get to keep cash reserves up to 20% of our operating budget. And then we have to turn over anything in excess of the 20%. So we're asking them to reinvest the excess.
Okay.
Like we keep 20% per the contract. And then what used to happen is we would cut them a check for anything over the 20%.
Okay.
And it would basically go into their general fund, but recently they've reinvested it instead of just sticking it in the general fund.
Okay, it's like wording, I
Yeah.
guess, in my mind, so yes,
Okay.
yes.
Can I make a request about this, Brigida and Jonathan, where we talk about the pools, the funding for the lifeguards? I think that what you might want to say there is you want to make sure that the pools are open and accessible. I think appropriate and competitive funding for lifeguards is important. I'm not necessarily positive that that's the reason. I'll talk a little bit about this when I do my update, but I'm not necessarily certain that that's the exact reason for why they don't have enough lifeguards. It's one of the things that we're going to be focusing on, but I think the other thing in here, oh, you've got it. Never mind. I see the fund and multilingual recruitment initiative. That was one I really wanted to make sure was in there, but I think instead of appropriate and competitive funding for lifeguards, you might title that ensuring all pools are open and accessible for the entire 2025 summer season.
I like that.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, guys.
Okay.
It also gets so confusing because it's the fiscal 25 pool season, but it's actually the 2024 summer. It's
Yes.
really strange.
Great. Yeah, that's exactly right. And then also, I think last night, Bob Marietta and I were on the Watershed Advisory Committee, and Bob, I don't know if you're looking at Bob Marietta, I don't know if you're looking at the document that Brigida created here where she talks about replacement trees. I think there was something that John McCoy said yesterday about how we're trying to replace trees, but there's some sort of policy that they will replace trees. Bob, do you recall what I'm talking about?
Yes, he specified that they tried to replace one-on-one, but it can't always be in the same location. So a suitable location, they would replace one-to-one.
Yeah, so I
Should we append to that sentence, replace in a timely manner at a 1-to-1 rate as close to the location of the original tree as possible, something like that?
think you should say replacement trees, please follow the CA policy. We request that you follow the CA policy for 1-to-1 replacement where possible, right? Bob, does that sound
Yeah,
right?
that sounds right. We've expanded the
Oh.
paths and other things, so oftentimes we can't put a tree back.
Right.
Where one has to come down.
Well, the question I have about follow the policy is since this is a budget request, right? I mean, I would say follow the policy is what we would say to the staff, but if the board doesn't fully fund the policy, you know what I mean? Like, we're basically saying fully fund it so that you can follow
Yes.
the policy, I guess.
That's an excellent point, Jonathan. So I think that's
Okay.
fully fund tree replacement as per
Okay.
the CA policy. I think that's the good request. Hopefully everybody's okay with, that's my request if you guys will change it.
And John also brought up at last night's meeting that he and the WAC would appreciate if the village would specify that the reserve fund, whatever they call that, the reserve funds that are going back, be spent for the Long Look project, the stormwater overflow project.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He's
So,
ready to put in his
unless-
request on his side.
Unless the CA board is going to get more specific, you know, with let me back up. If the CA board decides again to reinvest the excess over 20%, unless they get more specific than they have in the past with the how, it usually goes back into environmental, and then John McCoy and others on the staff work with the village, and that's where we start
Okay.
looking around and identifying the projects.
Right. He feels he'd like you to specify that project now, since you and he have agreed that that's what you'd like to have done. He doesn't want them
Okay.
thinking of something else.
Okay, okay,
I think we already did do that with him. Sometime earlier this year, where we did a field trip to, I think, 3 or 4 potential sites where John could spend the money. And then we as a board with him specified, yeah, the priorities you would like, John, okay, we'd like this, okay. We agreed with John on the priorities that he wanted in terms of spending that money. From my memory might be off. but
Right. That's
if I
correct, but
remember
he,
correctly,
yeah.
we've already specified to John the priority in spending of that money.
right, but he would like you to specify it to the board.
To the CA board.
Right.
so does that mean the excess that didn't come back over the past few years was not enough to cover it?
No, he felt it was covered. He just didn't want them taking it for some reason, doing something else with it.
So
See,
then
see,
that's a
that's where it
different-
gets confusing, because this is about this, if we have it, hopefully we don't have a situation like last year. This is talking about what to do with anticipated excess cash reserves this year, you know, when we close out this year.
So you're saying, Jonathan, you think you already have the money to do the work?
So the money, so my understanding was because of past excess that got put into environmental, that money to do the work should already be there. We already agreed with John, you know, that that's where it would be spent. I actually thought he was in the process of, you know, doing all the environmental and permitting and everything to start that project. If it needs more funds, I would say let's specify it here, but we're now talking about funds that we don't even know we'll have yet. We're saying if we have excess, we want them to come back again, but we would then work with him on another project because we don't know what those funds will be now, right? It could be
Right.
$5, it could be $50,000. We don't know the amount yet. And that's why I was saying we don't normally specify the next project because we don't know what the funds will be. Once we know the funds, assuming the CA board reinvests them, that's when we have the next meeting with John. We, you know, walk around Oakland Mills and figure out a project that matches the funds.
Yeah, I think, Jonathan, that's a follow-up then to John McCoy to ask him specifically about that.
Right.
I have a note to do that.
Well, thanks
Bob,
for,
are you suggesting that John feels like the funds are in danger, that we need to focus on this project? I mean, we don't need more funds, but does he need our support in a different way? Not in this letter, but in a
Yeah.
different way, saying, hey, let's get this project on?
No, I don't think, I just think he wanted you as one more piece of ammunition so he can make sure, you know, he's ready to proceed. And he wanted you all to speak to it, that you wanted, that you definitely wanted it to happen.
So we could, I mean, I guess we could do it in a slightly passive aggressive way. We could refer back, right? Like, so we could leave this language as it is. And, you know, when we talk about provide environmental benefits, you know, then add like a such as the project we anticipate starting on Long Look using, you know, funds already reinvested or something like that.
I think that would be perfect,
Yeah.
Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. At first I thought you were saying he needs new funds, but yeah, they really, CA should not be able to reallocate those funds because they already agreed to reinvest them in the past. But,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
but we saw what happened with the contingency fund, so, yeah.
In my opinion, that was all a done deal. That the money was there, we decided with John, this is the project to do, he had the money to do it, and was in the process of getting it done.
Okay, so we'll add a reference back and that will keep, you know, Long Look in the conversation,
Yeah.
but yeah, Bob, I mean, if John starts to indicate that there's truly some risk to that project, I mean, I know you'll let us know, but just for the
Yeah.
record, let us
He
know right
didn't
away.
indicate that, but he's got a lot of new
Okay.
management.
Okay,
This is our final time looking and voting on this tonight.
no, this isn't due for a while, is it?
No,
Oh.
it's not. And actually, I did wanna, Karen, I know you had followed up with, Jeremy regarding the,
just old business, because we already talked about it as new business.
charging stations, and there's been a couple of developments. He said he was still looking into that program. As far as getting them at the neighborhood centers. Is that what I'm remembering correctly, Karen?
Yeah,
Okay,
he mentioned 2 places that they were trying to get them. I think it's still important to include it in our requests that we want those charging stations because I don't know, Brigitte, are we allowed to reach out on our, the thing that I guess we were trying to figure out though is like, which I don't think Jeremy really answered satisfactorily, and I'm sorry, I only thought of this now and we probably should have followed up, is are you telling us to pursue BG&E on our own, or should we be going through CA, right?
well, the interesting thing is, and again, I'm sorry I'm missing this meeting. Hopefully they'll take good notes tomorrow, is we work with an energy, I'm not thinking of the right words, who we get our electricity through,
Utility,
yeah,
utility,
why is my brain?
electrical utility,
Yeah, it's,
BGE.
CQI,
Okay.
that's the organization that we work with, and they give us a prorated based on the best rate for our electric. But anyway, they are also offering, working with organizations for, charging stations too. So Joe from CQI is gonna be at the meeting tomorrow. To kind of
Okay.
talk about, my point is that, I'm not saying take it off at all, I'm just saying there's a couple of different avenues, but I feel like all the avenues are connected, but they haven't been connected yet.
I just feel like we need something, if we can do it ourselves, we need something from CA that clearly says we can. Because my feeling is, until we get that, normally I'm a proceed until apprehended person, but this is too major, right? And the last thing we need is thinking we can reach out on our own, and then, you know, maybe BGE or something starts one of these, and then CA goes, what the heck are you doing? You only manage the building, you don't do anything to our lots. And then we have a problem.
Yes, yeah.
Correct.
Well, yes, I will double check on that.
Okay,
I have a.
another suggestion, because we've talked about BGE and other possibilities, I would edit this one, to say, where it says, or work with Howard County to install through their partnership program. I would say, or work with Howard County and or other entities to install through partnership programs.
I'm say that again.
Work with Howard County and or other entities to install through partnership programs.
Okay.
So we're not just limiting it to partnering with Howard County. When do we need to submit this? Because we don't need to rush to a vote if it's not necessary yet, but.
I know we have time. I just have to, I don't know the year. Oh. yeah,
Sorry, I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
the dates off the top of my head. The budget is gonna be a discussion at this, at the meeting on the 14th.
Oh, like Thursday.
Yeah,
Are you looking at public input, like from the survey and stuff, or is it just an internal like work session discussion?
it looked to me, Jonathan, like we're gonna be reviewing what came back on the surveys and other resident input, so.
Oh, well, maybe we should get in early then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We
that
can
we're
always
not,
modify it.
yeah.
We've looked at it a few times, so it's
I'm-
not changing.
I'm fine if anyone wants to
Yes,
Take a
you
vote.
guys,
motion to adopt it.
they're gonna be
As-
talking about priorities and things like that, so this gives away a little bit of the stuff that I was gonna talk about in my update, but so it's a working session. It's a working session. If you guys are watching the session and you hear things that you want me to respond to or work on between that session and then the voting session in 2 weeks, Jonathan, this is where you and Brigitte and I need to probably talk sometime.
Yes,
So we just have to, we're really bad at coordinating with each other, but tomorrow I'll send each of you an email letting you know my availability. How's that?
all right, I mean, if the three of us maybe even have some availability Thursday before you have the session, maybe we could squeeze it in. If not, we'll just try to do it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm not working at my day job this week. For obvious reasons, but so I have Thursday morning, I have availability if you guys want to chat.
Okay, I'll look at what I have. Maybe I can take an early lunch.
Okay, yeah, I can do whatever.
Okay,
The only thing we need to do is flesh out
Yes.
this one. In words.
I thought it was on the next page and it's not. Yes.
No.
I moved, we accept.
Wait,
the-
we're
I'm
not
sorry.
done. We,
You want-
we
okay,
have
sorry.
we have a title but no text for the bike
Yeah, and
racks.
you know, I could
I
not,
just had one page because I was checking it.
I was checking it too, when I went back to the request, and I was like, well, that's weird, they wouldn't have just done that, but I
I think we just added that on at the last meeting. We were like, oh, and we want this. So we didn't come up with
we
words.
didn't come up with language, okay, so I didn't just lose a paragraph.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, I think Rebecca, did you want to put a line in there saying specifically what you wanted? Because I thought you had some ideas about what you wanted.
Yep. Jonathan does the sentences.
Well, if we just put "we want" in front of that, it becomes no.
Yeah, yeah.
And then an exclamation point. Specify the kind since there's. certain
Yeah, is
kinds
there,
Right? Yeah.
is there, like, I know the kind you
Not
don't
the
want, but is
way-
there correct
not the
terminology for the
grid,
kind you want?
No. Cause they come in lots of, well, I
Okay.
guess the U shape, I wish Warren weren't here. The U shape ones, but there are also lots of other forms.
See, I'm
good
afraid if
ones.
we say U-shape, we'll get the wave.
Right. So
Just
we
say
can spec-
anything but the wave.
not the wave or a grid, not
Or
the
a
grid
grid.
like at elementary school play yards. I mean. Can't we just say, functional bike racks or something? I don't know.
They
Might
want-
be the way that- Yeah, it is, cause Howard County Schools just purchased
They
75
thought
of it.
they thought it was functional.
Yeah, right.
So they probably.
Have to be
Yeah.
very,
Mm,
If you could take pictures of 2 or 3 examples and we could stick them in here, just say more
Oh, we
products like these examples,
right,
yeah,
then visuals there,
yeah.
no explanations needed.
yeah,
And to accommodate the larger number of bike paths that have been installed,
mhm.
that's my start of my sentence. Cause there are a lot more bike paths, so more people are riding bikes, so we need bike racks that will hold a larger amount of bikes.
And we'll properly secure them is the part for the different shapes. Well, if we're trying to vote on this tonight, we can make something up and, okay.
I think I
well,
made something
see,
up.
you have the words.
Install additional bike racks at CA facilities, avoiding wave or grid style racks which do not maximize available secure space.
Great,
Cool,
Let's roll with it.
I like it.
she was right. Jonathan got the word.
Not-
Stop the recording, or are you gonna get further?
Can you read my handwriting?
I can read handwriting. yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Then I motion to accept our priority financial letter for CA
As edited.
as edited.
Is there a second? I have a second from Bill. Any further discussion? All in favor? 400. Brigida, just for sanity checking, before you send it to CA after the edits, would you just send?
Oh,
One last
absolutely,
copy,
I would
please. Okay.
absolutely
All right.
send it to you guys, yeah. Yes, to make sure I got it.
All right. Next is the lovely, wonderful HCPSS capital and budget and improvement farce. Plan. So, as you all know, the superintendent, we know the process, we've been through it many times, but the superintendent every year proposes a new capital budget and capital improvement plan. Which quite honestly makes no sense to me because I don't know how you can propose new spending of hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars every year and just toss things up in the air and start over again, but that's the way their process works. It still has Oakland Mills Middle as the #1 priority capital project in the county, and actually technically funding has already started for that in fiscal 24. There are now some questions about whether that should revert to being a renovation or a rebuild. The board voted for rebuild. The submission actually doesn't change that, but the staff are now saying, well, inflation's pretty bad. we might want to reconsider that. The interesting thing, I don't know if anyone else watched or attended the meeting last week. I did. If you look at, and I'm only bringing up other communities for comparison, I don't believe we should be saying, don't give them, or, we're better or anything like that. But if you look at the Oakland Mills Middle and Dunlogan Middle replacement projects, and they are both replacement projects now, and then you look at what school system staff presented as the originally estimated costs and the new costs, Dunlogan goes up 31%. Oakland Mills Middle goes up 46%. So, Jolene and I put our heads together and try to figure out, well, how could there be a different inflation rate depending on where the building is located? I mean, the true cost could be different because the buildings are different sizes, but an inflation rate is an inflation rate, right? If construction materials are 31% more expensive, then your building will be 31% more expensive, no matter how big or small it is. So she, questioned that at the last meeting, and the answer she got made absolutely no sense at all, which is why I threw that little nugget into my testimony at the end, because that's one thing they're using to tell the board, well, maybe consider not, replacing it, but renovating instead. And when they asked, well, does that drive the reprioritization of the rest of the list? The answer was like, maybe, kind of, maybe, sort of. Which also doesn't make much sense, because if things at the list get more expensive and it's a priority list, you just like slide the rest of the list down till you can afford it. You don't start reordering all your priorities. That's why you have priorities, because you know what you're going to do next, regardless of how long it might take you to get there with funding. So the whole thing is kind of messy right now. And then the talk kind of went toward, well, Oakland Mills Middle really does need a new building. It seems like there's consensus on the board that something has to be done with Oakland Mills Middle now. And there seems to be decent consensus that building's not worth it. Like, they need a new building. So then the talk kind of went to, well, what if we take the auditorium out? Because most middle schools traditionally haven't had them. The new plans called for auditoriums at Dunlogan and Oakland Mills Middle. Or this is where it starts going toward, let's avoid future tough decisions about redistricting. Well, let's just keep it the size it is now, and it'll be cheaper. And we'll throw an addition onto Thomas Viaduct and other schools to deal with capacity, which in the long run to me seems more expensive. But we'll see where it goes with Oakland Mills Middle. The good news is it's still top priority, and I would say until it's not, the focus has to be on the high school, because that was taken from like number 3 and pushed all the way down to the very, very bottom, where they wouldn't start till 2034. Your unborn child will just be a couple of years from going there when
If it happens then, right?
Actually, wasn't it 2038?
complete 2038, start 2034,
Okay.
complete 2038. Yeah. So that's obviously the big problem. And once again, there's a lot of talk about, well, don't we really need capacity elsewhere? Do we really need Oakland Mills High to relieve other schools around it? And that's where I also went with this testimony, because it seems like in a county that's always talking about not having enough seats and having portables everywhere, that's great until we talk about rebuilding or expanding or renovating one of those 2 schools up the hill there, and then it's all of a sudden, we could do that somewhere else. Like, do we really want to put more kids on buses to get there, as if there aren't kids on buses all over the place when the buses are running? So it was kind of an interesting conversation. I did not get as much of a feel for how members of the board who were present at that meeting feel about the Oakland Mills High project. Like I said, I did get more of a warm and fuzzy about Oakland Mills Middle. They all agree, yes, it needs to be the #1 priority. Yes, something needs to be done with it. Oakland Mills High, certainly a couple of them, I know for sure feel that way. I don't know the others, don't know how they feel. So that's why the bulk of the testimony focuses on Oakland Mills High, with just a kind of a passing mention of Oakland Mills Middle. The other thing I'm looking into, and I know Jolene's asking questions too, is, remember we talked about how Oakland Mills Middle and Oakland Mills High, as well as actually Hammond, were supposed to be funded through, state money, through Built to Learn, and that money is meant to go toward kind of the schools with the greatest infrastructure need, the most neglected schools. And that money has to be spent by 2031. So, a couple of questions. One, is the inflation rate on Oakland Mills Middle mysteriously higher to make sure that we eat up all that Built to Learn money? Or two, is the school system saying it's just going to walk away from free money by just not doing Oakland Mills High till 2034, at which point the funds won't be available? So I know Jolene has sent a question about that, I believe, to the state delegation. So there were three things, and I know we normally do, have more time to think about it, but of course, all this happens within 2 weeks' time. There were three things I was going to ask the board about tonight, in preparation for the hearing on the 21st. One is any feedback and eventual approval of the proposed testimony for OMCA. Two was whether you'd be okay with me contacting our state representation, basically Team 13 and Senator Guzzoni, and I'm sure they already know, but formally informing them, sharing our concerns, sharing a copy of our testimony, and also asking about the Built to Learn funds. And three, and this is one, where I do, want to make sure you're taking some time to think. I don't, because I was hoping to get a price quote by now, but I don't have it. I don't think it will be outrageously expensive. There was the idea that maybe when we show up at the Board of Education, or our community shows up, we could be out there like handing out signs, because you probably saw signs at other meetings, like stick to your promise for the login and stuff. There's not really any like good community funding source for that. The organizations that support Oakland Mills High School have enough of a struggle supporting Oakland Mills High School. So I don't know if this is something we want to consider funding, or if we want to set like okay, this is the upper limit. If a quote comes in anywhere up to this limit, we'll buy as many signs as we can get. But I do have someone who contacted me and said, hey, I know someone who's helped me out before. She'll probably give us a good deal, or maybe do what it costs or something like that. I got the contact yesterday and I said, yes, I'm interested. Can you tell me what it would cost? I'm going to propose this tomorrow night, and they haven't been able to get back to me by the time I walked in here.
Do we have sign printing companies in Oakland Mills, near Oakland Mills, or are there some?
I don't know the person who is. I know well the person who knows the person, but I don't. This sounds like a Get Smart routine. I don't know the person who has the sign company. I know the person who knows the person who has the sign company.
Okay.
Print signs, but it takes some time. And I know there's some printers that will, like the one that I use for my MFA book, they actually do signs, but they're up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But they're awesome to work with, but they all need time,
Right.
so.
And like, this is someone, asking a friend, like, is this something you could do tomorrow? We don't have a lot of time, but again, I don't have a price yet. So I have no idea what it would
Can you
take.
send me the spec of the sign that you're kind of looking at and the quantity that you're wishing to get?
I haven't even designed what it would look like. I would say we would probably want either an orange background with black letters, or a black background with orange letters that says something like renovate OMHS now, just something that said something that they can see the presence there in the room.
One-sided, right? One-sided.
Yeah. Yeah, and we weren't thinking like the big yard signs. I actually have a size, but we were kind of thinking the ones you can put on like a paint stirrer stick, so that you can
Okay.
hold them at the Board of Education without blocking everyone else's view or taking up more than the width of your seat. I had dimensions. I'm looking for the text messages now.
And about how many?
How many do you think? 40,
And then you
50,
could just
25?
I think 50 would be nice. Yeah.
What about, are these
Maybe
too
she emailed it
small?
to me.
Those, I think they call them paper fans. Like that's what I picture on a paint stirrer. It's like the size of your face.
Yeah, it's
that you can use to,
maybe she emailed it to me. I can't.
because those might be cheaper, because those are
text
just
about it.
cardboard, or, you know,
Yeah, cardboard
a
cutouts.
lighter weight, yeah. Than like a sign.
Why can I?
And
find
even if we could find somebody just to print the cardboard cutout,
We can
we can go to
glue paint
Michael's,
stickers.
yeah, and buy the sticks and
Mhm.
a stapler, because that's all it is a stapler glued on there.
Right,
And staple them on there and we'll have them.
they don't have to assemble 3D, just
Yeah,
print.
it's like all we need you to do is print
Mhm.
and I can even pick them up. And
People
then we'll just
contact me
sell-
in so many different ways. I cannot find the. I'm gonna need to look for it.
That's fine, if you can just,
This was all like in the past 24 hours, so I wasn't coming in prepared to talk about that part.
well, just shoot me an email and then I'll
Okay.
reach out to a few vendors that I know. And see if they can do it or if they can do it at a fraction of the cost.
Okay. Oh, here it is. Here it is. So what we were looking at was. So that this particular person has. Can do single-sided 18 by 11. In sets of 20, so you know, it would be like 40 or 60 versus 50.
Same for the price.
But I don't have a price yet, no.
Okay,
So when I wrote back to the person who was connecting us, I said, I agree, the smaller dimensions are good. If you could get prices, I'll look into, you know, whether we have a potential funding source for this. And that's kind of where it ended right now.
okay.
And Jonathan, I recommend that what we put on the sign is generic enough so we can reuse the signs over and over and over again.
Well,
Yeah,
that makes sense, yeah.
that's why I just thought something like, you know, renovate OMHS now or something, because like the Hammond one was always renovate Hammond now, right? They simply said that.
But
There's
I'm-
signs and magnets.
But I'm
so-
thinking, if the purpose is to show Oak Mill's presence, maybe not put specifically renovate, but
Something
even
like
just
Oakland
Oakland
Mills
Mills
High
schools
School.
or something like
Oh,
that.
we could do
Open
that
They could
too.
be
schools.
reused over and over for many different purposes, so we get a lot of bang for the buck.
I mean, we could do something as simple as, again, orange with black letters, black with orange letters, just simply big block Oakland Mills.
Oakland Mills, if,
We could do support Oakland
Yeah,
Mills.
support
high
Oakland
school
Mills,
that
yeah.
way.
Support Oakland
We can
Yep.
use
Yeah.
that for whatever we need to
And
go
then you
last.
can
summer
use it
Exactly.
for
future.
schools
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly,
Yeah, okay, support Oakland Mills. So I can, I'll design something really quickly tomorrow and then I'll reach out to a few vendors that I know that do sign work that we work with and see.
Having done signs in the past, do you have any idea at all what it might cost? Like if we could vote for a ceiling amount tonight, that way we could do the rest over email, but we still,
It's like one of these, so
Oh,
it's not
okay.
like 50, it's like,
okay,
you know, 1,000, I mean,
Yeah.
we do big quantities, but I'm, you know a few places, so I'll see
Okay.
if they're willing to do a few,
Yeah.
you know, kind of like that one off, since it's a small quantity.
Okay.
and See,
Are you asking the board to fund that? Is that what you're getting to?
Yes.
And is there, and I know I should know this already. Do any students from Oakland Mills go to other high schools or is it Oakland Mills? I mean, Oakland
All
Mills
s-
Village,
all,
do they go?
all students who live in Oakland Mills Village are
Oakland Mills.
districted to Oakland Mills High School.
Okay,
Some might go to other schools because of special circumstances.
sure,
But-
but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
One band, one sound.
So would you all be comfortable with, you know, basically Shar telling us over email and we can figure out over email, or do we want to set some ceiling now? I just don't even know what ceiling to set because I've never done signs before.
Well, I
Yeah.
can give you an upper, right?
Okay.
Cause if I just go on Staples,
that's what I was gonna say, go to Staples, see what they,
yeah, a poster of that size that you said is $10 each. And that's for one.
That's
So-
way high.
but that's,
Yeah,
Sure, because that's
yeah,
one-off,
yeah, that's a
and it's at
one-off, yeah.
Staples, which is gonna be a lot
Yeah.
more expensive than a printing place. you
Yeah.
know.
No,
So
I mean,
that
from
gives you a
talking to the
way
person who
high-
contacted me, like she was thinking, you know, maybe at the top end, a couple of bucks per, you know, through her contact. Yeah, so I was literally thinking, well, maybe the ceiling is like $150 or something like that for 50 signs. just to pad it a little bit.
How about
but
200, just to
I-
make sure.
Whatever you all are comfortable with.
200, okay.
Hmm?
We didn't have to buy shirts.
Regina's thinking.
I am thinking, because I'm thinking of an alternative, but,
Okay. What's your alternative?
well, Amy and I were sitting here creating work for ourselves, but,
Painting ourselves orange?
well, we could, but no, my thought was Amy, and I kind of thought about it, and Amy vocalized it, was making the copies on the copier and buying the paint sticks and basically buying large orange paper and putting them on.
Well, we can laminate too.
We could laminate it too, although we'd have to get the right size things, but yeah, I mean, if
Put a ream of orange paper through the copier?
we,
I do.
I mean, it's an alternative, if it's over, you get a quote back and it's like, whoa.
Or no time.
I mean, for what we're gonna use it for, if you have the time and think you can do it, that's fine, because like, if we were talking yard signs, that would be different, because they have to stand up to the elements. This is basically to hold up indoors in a room,
I
and maybe
think
reuse indoors in a room in the future.
if you guys are fine with that, and I mean, we all work different hours, but I absolutely think that we have till next Thursday, we could make sure that happens.
Can
Okay,
you print paper bigger than 8.5 by 11?
We can, we can,
Yeah, we did that with.
yeah, you just have to feed it through the feeder, so
okay,
it's,
then let's try that.
yeah, but we'll.
Can't laminate.
Well, do you want us to get the quote first, just to see if
Yeah,
it's
fine.
worth your time?
You can-
Because if it's
get
not
the
that
quote.
expensive.
And then, see, where it's at, cause again, I don't have an idea in my mind either. And then if it's like way over, then.
Yeah, I was gonna try to get it donated, so.
Oh, okay, well, that's even.
If you can get it done, yeah, that's actually what I was hoping for, but so far no one has said, I'll just do it.
Yeah, that's why I said
Yeah.
I'll reach out to some of the vendors.
Okay.
I work with it and see, I mean, it's not a lot, so maybe. they're
So
just
why don't we
willing to
do
just
this,
kinda do
instead
it
of setting a
like
budget, why
try.
don't we see if we can either get it donated or do it
Yeah.
ourselves?
I think that's how Oakland Mills rolls.
I-
You
that-
know? We
that-
make
that would
it
be-
happen, however we have to make it
That
happen.
would, that would be fine with me,
Exactly.
because honestly, if we showed up without signs and there were all these other signs, I would probably ad lib something obnoxious like, in Oakland Mills, we have to put everything we have back into the school programs, not into signs.
If you end up having to make it, the laminating stuff is going to be expensive. Do you I don't know how your budget works, but is there office supply budget to cover extra laminating, or do you? need that
The
separate?
problem is, depending on the size. I mean, width wise, 8.5, I think is the biggest, right?
Yeah, I think 8.5 is the biggest, but
And then finding laminate.
we'll, yeah. We'll do a test tomorrow.
I
See
mean-
what we can come up with, but
If we were,
See what
if we were
Sharp-
limited to 8.5 by 11, I would just-
Your laminator is limited to 8.5 by
that, the width. It's very small laminator.
but if we
I
were,
have one. I mean, we have-
if we were limited, because the idea is just to show presence, right?
we have the big
If we
ones,
were,
the
if we
big
were
ones.
limited to that, I would just download a black copy of the interlocking OM. Put it on the orange
Well,
paper.
do you want it to be like high school though? If you want it to be generic.
Well, I mean, the
The
black and orange is
Mills.
already gonna be kind of indicating the high school, but
Well,
we'll figure it out.
yes, I'm
Let's see
saying
what
like,
come up with.
we can look into it. Amy and I can look at our
Okay.
resources tomorrow and then we can let you know.
Yeah.
After phone training, great.
And if you need, I can bring the laminator, you just have to order the paper from Office Depot.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have
Okay.
a larger one that accommodates the bigger signs.
So first, we're gonna see if we.
If you could
Yeah.
get them
Yeah.
donated, it's first choice.
Save us some time.
Yes, okay, very good. But back to the testimony, any comments
Oh,
or,
the only comment I had was
The testimony.
that last paragraph on the second to last page, where you mentioned Jolene by name. Do you think that is smart, or maybe leave her out of it so that she
I
can
ran
make
this by
her?
her.
Yeah, but instead of it looking like we and her are in cahoots, it might be better for us to stand on our own and then her to echo her
Okay.
own point,
I'll just,
just kind of.
so we'll just say that's not how inflation works.
As was pointed out at the meeting.
Mhm.
We don't have stuff.
Or just, that's not how inflation works.
Mhm.
We're smart enough to figure that all out on our own,
Mhm.
which I think I basically say somewhere else. You think we're not clever enough to figure this out?
Mhm.
I do like how you ended it. I feel like that was a good ending question.
Mhm.
All right, so I'll edit that one thing out. Anything else?
I could sense your frustration growing over these letters over the years. And I thought, God, this is getting near the break. And I liked it.
I feel like if there's time left, ending it on a personal note, look. If that middle school gets done, and that high school gets done. Then when I look around the village, I've kind of accomplished everything I set out to do when I joined the board. So if you just do it, you won't see me anymore. Like,
You can get rid of it.
how do you feel about that? Otherwise, I will haunt your nightmares until 2034. I don't care how old I'll be. I don't care that my kids will be in their 30s. I will still be
Yeah.
here.
What close, what
Yeah.
close.
Okay, I'll edit that line out. Anything else on this one? We went over already on that topic.
Are
Okay.
you actually gonna be there? You said that,
Yes.
don't you have back to school night or something?
No, that was
something
this
else.
past Thursday. That was the meeting. That's why I had to watch this past meeting on
Gotcha, okay, good.
DVR.
Very good.
Yeah, unless I get COVID again, which is what happened to me last year when I was supposed to testify there, but
Gotcha.
everything is, eerily similar, so
Mhm.
just,
All right.
all right. Moving on to board chair report. I focused all of my village board time and energy on the school thing over the past
Mhm.
week and a half, so if there was something else that needed my attention, it didn't get it, so I don't have anything else to report right now. Is there anything I should have been paying attention to that I should be reporting? Okay, I'll send it over to Karen.
Hey, guys. So I took some notes. I already talked a little bit about when we were talking about the budget, some of the stuff that's coming up, but the last board meeting I attended for CA was actually the Board Operations Committee meeting where we set the agendas through November. And so I wanted to highlight some things to folks just to make sure that we're all paying attention. So this coming Thursday, the 14th, is a Board of Directors working session. And in that, there's going to be the discussion, as I said before, for the fiscal year 25 budget discussion. And they're also going to be talking about the 5-year strategic plan. And I think that's really, I think a lot of people don't even realize that CA has a strategic plan, and that it expires at the end of 24. So those two discussions really important. And then the following, in 2 weeks from that date, then we'll vote on that discussion. So the board votes on the 28th will be on the budget for the fiscal year 2025. They're going to talk about the strategic priorities. Obviously, for me, pools is going to be one of them. The 5-year strategic plan process, as well as 2 other things that people might be interested in is the jug handle easement request from Harris Hughes Corporation is going to be voted on, and improving board operations and governance. Then on October 12th, in the working session, we're going to talk about the outdoor pool season. So I don't know, I'm going to include it in my newsletter that goes out, but Talbot Springs, that's one of our pools that got closed. So I don't know if residents or if anybody wants to come to residents speak out that night and just, talk about the importance of the pools, what they mean to the village. And then on November 9th, of particular importance is going to be at the Board of Directors meetings, overview of villages, including fiscal year 23 financial results. So I don't know if anybody wants to tune in for that, but those would be the highlights of the next several weeks with the CA Board of Directors. We have discussed, we were supposed to vote. We had a session to vote on choosing the search firm, and we have to go into a second closed session for that. So just so people are aware, we are still looking at the search firm, which I was on the committee to choose the search firm to hire a new CA president. So those are my updates. Any questions?
Karen, who's running aquatics right now?
I have not gotten an answer on that. Marty Oltmans is apparently taking a new position. There's been some sort of a reorganization and a new position has been created for Marty. And so I do not know right now who's running aquatics. I did ask the question, Jonathan, and I haven't gotten an answer.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much, Karen.
Thank you.
All right, Brigida.
Okay. Well, the first thing is, I had sent to all of you for review the FY24 first quarter, financials. And, sorry for the delay, we just had to, myself, our accountant and our bookkeeper have been streamlining a lot of things, just as I got in there and making sure we're all on the same page. So as you see on the variance memo, line 10, the janitorial wages, we had budgeted, it was budgeted for the quarter at 1305, but it is a zero. Nothing was put into that category. Basically, the janitorial wages are the wages when your janitor is on staff. So we don't have, he's a contract laborer, and so he falls under janitorial expenses. So what that is for when the staff does the setup of chairs, which they have done a couple, but I had kind of misunderstood where that funding, as did the bookkeeper. So in the future, you will see those setups categorized into janitorial wages. But as far as the other setups and cleanups by Judd, that goes under janitorial expense. So payroll benefits, and looking at past budgets, it's pretty typical that it's off and it balances out by year end. And then the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, that was the deposit for the purchase of the new telephone system, which was why it was higher. So once the telephones are installed officially tomorrow and turned over, then I owe the remainder of the balance. So that will show up in next quarter. So I can scroll down for everybody to see. But everything else was pretty much on target, so I was pretty happy with that. But if there are any questions. Please let me know. Does anybody? Oh, you're still waiting.
We got an upside down page in here. I gotta look at the other packet.
I don't think mine was.
No, this is the one I have to sign.
Oh.
I opened the one about purple folder here. Okay. No, I don't have any questions. Any questions from anyone?
No.
Is there a motion to approve first quarter statement? Motion from Bill, is there a second? Second from Rebecca? Any further discussion? All in favor? 400. God, I've signed everything now.
Yeah, I know. I must have scanned it upside down. This scanner wasn't properly. I'm getting frustrated.
And you said the scanner wasn't working properly, Are you referring to the equipment? For the person getting the scanner?
My husband always says you have to be smarter than the thing you're operating, so in that case, it was the actual machine was not feeding the paper properly. So the other thing, there is a manager's report in, which has most of the updates. But I'll go through a few of them. This Sunday is the jazz concert. David Cole and the Blues. We're pretty much 2/3 of the tickets have sold. Lavinia was in today finalizing a lot of things, but said she predicts that she will sell at least another 20 tickets. So we're getting excited for that, and we're already putting together for the next concert, which is the big holiday extravaganza on December 3rd. So I've been working with her on that, as is Ashley. Amy has been furiously working on the festival. We met today to go over some of the, last 3 weeks. But everything's right on target. And if you haven't visited it yet, she has put up the Oakland Mills Fall Festival website page, and all of the updates are on that. So she's been getting a lot of last minute vendors trying to get their applications in.
I spent a lot of my time on
Yeah.
processing applications.
So very
good.
very excited at everything. We're hoping for a nice day. Last year it was inside, so we're hoping to have it outside. And then the other big thing is I have been working with CA to finalize all of the licensing and equipment rental for the Oakland Mills Local Leadership Team's movie night. I have an email into Bronlyn, who I've been working with, who's on the leadership team. I guess she's going to school at the same time, so she doesn't automatically get back to me right away, but I assume I'll hear from her the next day or so, and then they'll probably look to advertise. So the date for that is September 29th. I will be here with that just because since we're partnering with them, etc. I will not be really, I'll just kind of be there as a participant, but just to kind of be a part of it. Tomorrow, very exciting. We get our phones and we get trained on them. So that's very, very exciting. And the other thing, if you haven't looked already, is Ashley did kind of revitalize, is that the right word, for the Other Barn website. She made it, just updated it, gave it a fresher look, and I think it looks great. And
Does look good.
yeah, she really did a great job. And we kind of changed the way people can do reviews, because we're trying to get more reviews. So they can review right on the website, but it doesn't automatically get put up. It gets sent to Ashley, and then she can share it. But they can also put in a review through the Wedding Wire, so we can share them either way. And the beautiful thing is she has put on there, rather than send them a paper sheet to give a review, which was a lot of back and forth and postage, she on her little deposit, when we return the deposit, it just says, please take time to go to the website and review if you had. So she's done a lot of great things on the website. I did reach out to John McCoy about the tree giveaway that happened last year, and he did say that they would probably have trees to do that, and I'm working with Natalie. I just reached out to him, so we haven't gotten very, very far on that, but I'm guessing in the next week or so, because last year people signed up at the festival, so I'm hoping to have that at our table again. And then the donation policy and submission deadline will be put out in the next e-news for people to send in their requests. And lastly, so I don't know if you are aware, and Karen, you might be, but CA Community Outreach Team is working with a quilter to make a huge quilt, and they want as many of the Columbia organizations as well as the villages to all have representation. So if you wanted to be a part, you can request a quilt square, which I did request. And I am in search of ideas, because I have to turn it in the beginning of October. I am not an artist. I will never claim to be an artist. But if you have an idea that you'd like to see happen, I can probably find somebody who actually is an artist.
Isn't your son an artist?
My son is an artist, but
There
it,
is Howard.
I'm
There's
very
supposed to be
excited.
like a message on it or design?
Support Oakland Mills High School.
Renovate.
Now, now.
Exactly. It's, I can send you the full paragraph. It's just supposed to be something that, which to me is very hard to like. We could do the other barn, but to like represent Oakland Mills.
Because I was gonna say, our
Our
logo,
logo.
logo is a square.
Hmm.
Well, it's actually
Yeah.
4 squares that form a square.
It is for, yeah,
But that might be hard to quilt though. We probably need someone who's good.
yeah,
Would they need a painted thing or
well, they
a
gave me
embroidered thing?
2 colored
Oh my
markers.
gosh.
Wow.
So,
So this is the actual square that they would use.
this literally,
You give them that square back and they will sew it into the quilt.
yes,
So
they're
whatever
making
you do
each-
on that,
whatever I do on here, and then it will be.
They'll
I
kind of
bet-
stitch it.
I bet, I've been to way too many fabric stores. I don't quilt, but I've been with my mom. I bet we could find fabric of those colors in like,
Sure.
you know, a small print and then kind of grit it up like that and then put something on
Oh, that
top.
would be nice.
Yeah, that would look, then it's, you're not using those little tiny fine
There
markers
should be
to.
a filter. Too. I bet we have filters.
Well, we only have until October 2nd. That's when I have to turn it in. I believe I have it on my calendar. They're having an unveiling, and so I RSVP'd.
I mean,
as a
the
representative.
simpler thing would be to do that. Like the other barn, like the floor mat, the
Yeah.
other barn silhouette thing, yeah.
Can you do something like Xerox it on there, silk screen on there, something like that?
I mean,
Person
because we
maybe
have one
everything.
shot, Bill. We
So
got,
we can experiment with my old undershirt.
well, there you go. With this material, yeah.
Yeah, we can try. But, you know, because of the time frame, the need to find an artist, the skill set, et cetera.
Oh, they gave you this black and a blue.
Do we have,
Yeah,
do you have
yeah.
a T-shirt with that logo on it or with the other barn logo, like a T-shirt
that we
that you
could
can cut?
cut.
Cut and paste it on there, yeah, get the whole thing done easy elsewhere and then just sew it onto this.
I don't know, Shar, but we may have in closet 8 an old T-shirt with that logo on it.
I've seen T-shirts with the old O logo. I've never seen one with
I
the.
think they just
the-
had they just have writing.
Wow,
There were
I may
some
have one.
t-shirts with the leaf on it. And I think we gave them the thing.
So
So,
ask for them back.
I think we may have one in our house, but it was the old logo.
Yeah, my kids had some of them, but we might have given them away.
well, the logo or the other barn, I'll see what I can come up with. I will take a picture of whatever I'm gonna do before I officially do it to see what you guys think. Before I make that final step. So, that's pretty much all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Oh, I have an idea, I'm sorry.
I'm changing the subject, but
If
go
you-
ahead.
If you print, I guess if you wanted to do the other barn, or if you print it. On the paper and then you take that and put it on top, you would have to like tape it to the window so you can see, and then you take the pen and trace it.
Yeah.
And then that way when they, because they're gonna put the thread in there, right? Or,
No, I think they're just
I
sewing
oh,
it
it's just,
together.
oh, it's
It,
just like
yeah.
that. Yeah, but you can kind of do that and trace it,
Oh, that's a good idea.
and then that it's on there, you know.
That is a good idea. Okay.
I have your son, you said your son's an artist, he draws or paints.
Well, does Ashley have?
He does.
Yeah, you can probably have him do it if he has like a, you know, steady hand and just take his time. To knock it out in like a day or two.
Okay.
Yes, and you could do it at home on material, okay, so you can make a few mistakes, file against right, so that material onto there.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I think we'll do
Really
it.
is.
Well, almost.
We have to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Go fast.
We're gonna do bulletin board when we come out of closed session because Rebecca's gonna have to go and we're gonna close session. Are you done?
Okay. I am done, but let me just, stop the recording. If you.
Well,
No,
no,
we
while
have to
we're
motion.
recording, we need to go into closed session to discuss, matters pertaining to employees and personnel. Is there a motion to go to closed session? Motion from Rebecca, second from Shar. Any discussion? All in favor? 400. Okay, so the time is 8:17 and we are going into